On Venezuela, I'm sure you're well aware that Maduro has repeatedly, over the course of the last 5 to 7 years, utilized negotiations as a delay tactic. It's so egregious that even the Vatican says we're not having any more negotiations. In fact, in a very strongly worded letter from the Pope to him said, you remember the last time we met, I'm paraphrasing, remember the last time we met, you agreed to things, you never did any of them, there's no purpose in meeting anymore. Effort after effort to negotiate with Maduro's regime for whatever have all resulted in nothing. He uses it to buy time and to delay, and he uses it to divide the opposition. And unfortunately, multiple players have fallen into that trap. The reality of it is that he will agree to all sorts of short-term reversible things, release a political prisoner or what have you. But at the end of the day, he's not ever going to agree to free and fair elections because he can't win them. Is it your view that that our stance towards Venezuela should change in essence, that we should no longer recognize Juan Guaidó and enter into negotiations with Maduro?
No, it is not. I very much agree with you, Senator. First of all, with regard to a number of the steps that were taken toward Venezuela in recent years, including recognizing Mr. Guaidó, recognizing the National Assembly as the only democratically elected institution in Venezuela, seeking to increase pressure on the regime led by a brutal dictator in Maduro, as well as to try to work with some of our allies and partners. The hard part is that for all of those efforts, which I support, we obviously have not gotten the results that we need. And one of the things I would really welcome doing, if confirmed, is to come and talk some of that through with you and with others on this committee, because we need an effective policy that can restore Venezuela to democracy, starting with free and fair elections. And how can we best advance that ball? I think there's some things that we can look at, particularly better, stronger coordination, cooperation with like-minded countries. Maybe we need to look at how we more effectively target the sanctions that we have, so that regime enablers really feel the pain of those sanctions. And certainly, I believe there's more that we need to try to do in terms of humanitarian assistance, given the tremendous suffering of the Venezuelan people, as well as helping some of the neighboring countries that have borne the brunt of refugees from Venezuela. But I'd welcome an opportunity, if confirmed, to talk to you about that.
Yeah, and I would just encourage that every time we talk about issues like Venezuela, that it's important we point to the direct national interest of the United States in the matter, because I think sometimes people start to get the imagery that this is about nation building or picking sides in an internal dispute. The reason why the U.S. cares about of course, we care about democracy, we care a lot about human rights, but there is a direct national interest to the United States involved. You have a regime that openly houses and gives safe harbor to multiple terrorist organizations like the FARC and the ELN that traffic drugs, that in turn threaten to destabilize and even potentially topple at some point or seriously threaten the government of Colombia, which would be a massive blow to regional stability and ultimately impacts us as well. It's already having a migratory pressure on this country, but on countries in the region, in Peru and Brazil and Colombia, which ultimately also impacts us. They have very friendly relations, military and otherwise, with the Russians, and increased evidence of Iranian interest and activity, including the sale of oil or gasoline in exchange for gold that they're stealing from their reserve. So I just encourage you to constantly point to the fact that this is not just a do-gooder effort here. There is a direct national security interest to the United States involved in what happens there.